Hi everybody, welcome to Hear Us Out. I'm Patrick.
And I'm Paul.
And today we are starting the first clash of the movies in the almighty Hear Us Out Tourney.
Tourney!
I'm saying it to get him to do that every time. I love it. You will all have seen the wonderful graphic that is now appearing on screen again. So you can see the top left-hand corner of the graphic is where we're going to start. We are going to start with the first clash, which is Moonlight versus Argo. So we'll just get a little bit of housekeeping out of the way and do some rules. So first up, want to make it very, very clear. These films, we're going to do other series like this with films that are maybe more compatible with comparison. So maybe horror movies, things like that. This time, because it's to do with the Oscars and the Oscars Best Picture, we're going to be comparing films that don't necessarily take comparison to each other that well.
Yeah, it's difficult because essentially it's an abstract kind of like with what Patrick was saying with the horror films, it'll be more like, you know, the best zombie films or you know, like the best horror films with humans as the psychopaths or humans as the monsters kind of thing. Or sci-fi with
they can be compared to each other. These films, the only reason they're in this list is because they have won a Best Picture Oscar in the last 8 years. They are this decade's best pictures. From the Oscars point of view. So just keep that in mind. This is us trying to compare films that don't necessarily compare. So we'll be doing it based on kind of that best Oscars picture category, really. So if we say that something about a film, we may be being harder on it just to find the difference between the two films.
Yeah, that's fair. Like it's kind of like it's difficult because, as we said, we can't really just be like, yeah, they're, you know, good films. It's because, well, we already know that because they've already won Oscars and stuff. We're going to go a little bit more critical in the fact that, you know, did it do its job well? Was it like, you know, was it the subject matter or was it the subtext, or, you know, was the cinematography good, or, you know, we're going to go into a little bit technical things, but then, you know, another defining factor will be what emotions did it sum up for us, or, you know, I think.
And so there's no set criteria. We're gonna basically talk through the films. You'll hear why we're thinking what we're thinking as we go along, and in the end of each episode, there's going to be one episode per clash of each film. We'll pick a winner and they'll move on to the next round. So let's get into it and find out who is the first film to make it through to that coveted semi-final position. I said coveted like there are films out there going, oh God, I hope I make it.
Glass, you're not going to get it.
Yeah, Glass isn't even on the list, thank God.
Not to age this video, but...
No, yeah. So people from the future, Glass was it? Never mind. Let's start with Moonlight, because I'm trying to remember the graphic. I think it's the top of the two.
It doesn't really matter.
No, but just, you know, I'm trying to think of a reason to start with one or the other. So let's kick into it with Moonlight. I'll give you a quick summation of how I felt about Moonlight.
Go for it. And I'm going to sit here silently and look at you daringly.
Yes, and you're going to have to go next. Oh, God. I want to be very, very clear. Moonlight is a good film. Weirdly, out of all the films in this list, it's the one that I don't know if I would consider a great film. I think it was a very, very, very important topic. Unfortunately, it was a lot of very important topics, and I don't think they were all served very well by the way the film was made. That is, and I'm starting out with my issues here to kind of just get my feet under the table of why I like or don't like something. It was a great film from an acting point of view, a great film from a story point of view. I had some issues with how the story moved along through the different ages of the child / teenager / adult. Also, if you haven't seen the film, you probably should watch Moonlight. You really should watch it. I'm just talking about it, assuming that you have. So I guess I'm going to try and keep this short. Martial Ali, Jeanette Monáe, brilliant. At least two of the three actors that played the boy through the ages, great. You know, supporting cast, very good in general. None of that is the problem with the movie. It was actually the person putting it together. It was a very important topic that was handled a little too much, too arty for me. There's a story involving his mother being a drug addict, and some very, very deep and important things being talked about at the start, and by the end she's just written off really as, oh well, she's fine now, she's recovered, and used as a kind of a clunky little bit of plot throwaway. So I would give this film that whole, it's good, but I don't know if it's great. And I think to be a best picture, you have to be great.
Okay.
Have I ruined it? Did I go too long?
No, you haven't at all. So, as Patrick said, I like the film. It's a good film. Difficult topics to bring up in a film. There's a lot of things that I'm going to repeat, but the acting was great. As some of the aesthetics were really, really good. Use of lighting in certain respects was very, very good. Being the most vivid thing is probably the pink light of the mother's bedroom.
Oh,
was
yeah.
Probably the most vivid thing. There was two vivid things. There was the blue light idea and the blue moonlight idea, and then as you said, the pink light of the mother's bedroom. Story wise, it's a very simple story, but with very complex subtext, which is difficult to get across in this kind of film. Not difficult to get across, but like, I guess it's just like it wasn't, in my opinion, very well executed in the kind of way. Like, there was some short hills, like you said, with the Melissa Ali, and
it was Janelle Monáe.
Their characters were really interesting, and not having them progress too far into the characters, like, relationships and stuff like that, was difficult because they were so good. Supporting cast were really good. As I said, there's some. I think the middle part was actually my favorite, and the other parts were kind of like filler. Yeah,
well, there was a little bit of setup that was intrinsic to the younger child part of it all. That was the setup.
Yeah,
but yeah, I think I'd agree with you. Of the three stages, the middle section was probably handled best, had the most kind of continuity, and was maybe just the best made part of the film. Because I think I would agree with Paul that I think execution is the word I would use. I connected with this film up to the point that I felt terrible, and it did affect me and emotionally affected. I think you felt that even more, I think, from talking about it.
Yeah, it's a little bit more of an emotional kind of connection with it, just because it's a very, like, I used to be bullied in school, and this kid's bullied in school for a lot and stuff like that. So that kind of emotional connection did get me. The deep subtext and stuff like that is like, they did it really well, and the will of that child in the story is very, very powerful.
Oh, it's that, and that again, great films, or in this case, I think very good film. They deal with very heavy topics quite often. This is an extremely heavy topic, and I think it's a really important topic, all of the levels of it, because it wasn't just talking about your own sexuality. It wasn't just talking about black or white. It was talking about lots of different things. There was social inequality, everything from drugs to God knows what else. I just don't know if they did all of those topics justice. As you say, it was a simple story in the end that for me, they maybe tried to weave a little bit too much in to keep it heavy. I don't know if they succeeded. The other half of the equation, Argo. Paul.
Yeah, so Argo is an interesting film. I had a very lot less emotional engagement in this one. Very much to the surprise of Patrick. It's a good film. It's a masterclass in kind of like in filmmaking. It's very clean. It's very crisp and stuff like that. Cinematography is very good. The acting, the actors are very good. The plot is it's very tight kind of story plot and everything, and executed quite well. So it's kind of weird for the comparison to Moonlight, but we'll get into that a little bit.
Yeah,
kind of thing. So like, and every aspect of the film is really well done. Yes. It's just, as I said, it didn't give me the emotional kind of like connection as Moonlight did.
Well, I loved Argo. As Paul hinted, I connected with the film on a few different levels that I wasn't even expecting to. I think basically, though, everybody that likes Argo, everybody that sees Argo is going to be a fan of it or be impressed with it because it's based on a true story. It's not it's not an absolutely true story, but it's based on it. But I think the thing that stands out for me about it is how it was all put together. It's wonderfully stylized. It's a great representation of the time. I remember growing up with, the Ayatollah Khomeini on, nightly news and the stories of that time. And it really captured a lot of that for me. But more than that, I think just the tension mixed with the emotion for me. It covered so many things. I was tense around the main story. I felt for the people who were in danger, the hostages. Yeah. I felt for all of the different dynamics that they had. So it engaged me in that way. But I also really enjoyed that it poked on a few different levels of society. It obviously had the West, the evil empire West versus the East. There was the capitalism versus what was going on in Iran. There was, international world politics of how Canada is viewed compared to how America is viewed. All of those things.
The bureaucracy part is also interesting because you have the state trying to do the planning and stuff, which is interesting, and they're the bicycles.
Exactly. They crossed into a lot of things, but the thing I really liked is they didn't cross into any of them for too long. They poked fun at Hollywood for an appropriate amount of time. There was a lot of brilliant dark humor, and I think Alan Arkin and John Goodman they weren't comic relief, but they were
tension relievers.
They were tension relievers is a good way to put it. But even Ben Affleck's character had moments of just dark humor that really, really worked. I think, and again, we talked about this very briefly, and I'm going to throw it in there. It took a little pause because Argo, the fake film they were making, was sci-fi after Star Wars. It took a moment to show how sci-fi was viewed at the time. And you would think that sci-fi should have been taken much more seriously because of the success of Star Wars. But I think we all know that wasn't the case. And it perfectly illustrates the horrible capitalist view that was created by Star Wars success. Mm-hmm. Sci-fi didn't get more respect, but it was seen as a larger commodity to be able to make money out of. It was a few years later, obviously, people learned sci-fi deserved more respect, but if anything, I just thought that little dalliance in, they have a table read of their fake movie. It's just a perfect scene where they're like, we're going to add one more layer into this, but not for so long that it's going to bog down the film or take you away from the main story. Yeah. So all round, I thought it was just really, really, really well made with a very, very heavy story in the middle. The human tragedy behind it all is not ignored. No, but it doesn't wallow in it.
No, that's true. So
I went long there. Yeah.
What, you were also saying that you like the depthness of the cast and stuff like that.
Oh, well, there was just you can look at the cast list. You're 15 people down, and you're just going through brilliant actor after brilliant actor after brilliant actor. Like I think I used Richard Kind as an example for you. He's a bureaucrat at one point, and I'm like, he doesn't do that in a film. He's the perfect guy for it. But obviously they were just able to get so many people to sign on and say yes.
Yeah.
Once you see Alan Arkin's name on something, I guess you're going to go, well, if he's in it, it's probably going to be excellent. Everything he does is.
Like I just out of the on the Tales of Your thing, I do like, there's a particular scene which is the scene where they're just Ben Affleck and Bryan Cranston are talking. Yeah. And it's just like, yeah, don't worry about it. You'll probably be killed quite quickly anyway. Yeah, and it's just this dark mood where it's just like, well, I guess I won't be tortured then, kind of thing. So
they're meeting in the car. Like we're not. I would end up breaking the film down. If you haven't seen Argo, I very strongly suggest you see it because it's like few other films at the very least, and it's an incredible story, but it's just really well told. And I think that's the thing I'd say. Moonlight is an incredible story, maybe not as well told. All the way around for Argo, I think it's a great story, incredibly told.
Okay, so now we're going to kind of do a kind of, I guess, an argument where we compare it to the two. So from your thing, you're going to go for.
I've telegraphed this from the start, and I've realized a problem with this format when it comes to me doing things like that. I should not have been so clear from the start which way I was going to go, but my vote goes for Argo.
Yeah, and I'm still leaning towards more Moonlight.
Okay.
Because of the emotional connection. And I feel that, but I definitely feel like it can be argued down from it.
Okay.
Which is so, but I will try to fight. But there's going to be a moment where I'm just kind of like,
Then this gets to the good bit. This is the bit you've all been waiting for, folks. It's where we try and, because it's not a case of convince the other one, I think.
No, it's not. Not in this case.
No.
Because I think we know the faults of each of the films, but we also know the pros or really, really good points.
I think we've both got our own set of pros and cons, and it's going to be about maybe, in this question, it's going to be about ranking it on the question itself. So this is the best Oscar films. How do we... Yeah. If you were to convince me to go for Moonlight, because this is a filmmaking award. It's not just best story.
Yeah,
it's not just best anything else. That would probably be the one thing where I'd go, I don't know if it's best picture because I don't know if it's good enough all round. That would be my take on it, and that would probably be my argument for Argo.
Yeah, okay. So I have to try to argue all that.
No, you can throw a completely separate thing at me. Yeah, I ambushed you a little bit there.
No, you're fine. I just say that Moonlight just not like we've already said that we don't want to kind of base it purely on the subject matter and stuff like that, because that means that some of the other ones
if Birdman faces 12 Years a Slave,
we're kind of screwed in the fact even that we end up liking Birdman way more than 12 Years a Slave kind of thing.
From a filmmaking point of view, we can't hang this just on subject matter alone.
Yeah. So my thing is that the scenes that they did really well, they did phenomenally well in Moonlight.
Oh, that's a good argument.
And the thing is that although Argo was really, really good, it was consistently good throughout the film. There was I can't pick out a particular scene in that thing that I'm just like, the acting and everything done in it was spectacular. I think my problem with Argo is it set a bar really high and it continued to go along that bar really, really well.
Yeah.
But there was no up from that.
There was no absolute crescendo where you were like, that's a scene I'll never forget.
Yeah.
Okay. I can't argue against that. I can't argue against that except to say the high points were not high enough to offset the rest of Moonlight.
Yeah, okay. So you get where I'm coming from?
Yeah, and I think unfortunately we both get where each other's coming from. I think just up against Moonlight, for me, it covers more of the discipline for Best Picture.
See, this is the reason. Is because that although I think the subject matter and the subtext of Moonlight was very, very deep and very good,
incredibly important.
It's and the scenes that we've talked about, the middle, the what is it, Sharon,
little as he was. Yeah.
Well, so because the chapters, but Sharon's the middle chapters really, really well done. I don't think it excuses a lot of the other failings within the execution.
Right.
Whereas, as I said before, Argo is done at a consistent level, which is pretty damn high. So if I was to base this as the writer and director kind of person that I want to be, I would say that Argo is better executed, and the story is a little bit more complex.
Yeah, I get what you mean by that.
But there's the subtext is not that deep. But it does ask questions. Yeah. It does make you ask questions.
Some of its advantages are its disadvantages almost. And one of the things I liked about it is that it stayed on topic, but dipped into things. And that is also a failing of Argo that Moonlight has in spades, except that it doesn't actually execute on them. And that is that, as you say, subtext. If you look at Moonlight, it goes down so many paths that are really gripping, emotionally affecting. The great thing about filmmaking is if you can affect somebody and how they feel. Mm-hmm. And there are so many parts of that story and directions it takes. But again, because they don't execute on those, that's what keeps pulling it down for me.
Yeah.
And I agree that Argo doesn't have them.
Yeah,
I definitely agree that it doesn't.
I think with Moonlight, after watching it, I think I would have a deeper conversation after Moonlight than I would with Argo, kind of thing. Yeah,
and I don't know if that would apply to me, but I definitely know what you mean. I think if we weren't talking, and that's, again, folks, it's because we're talking about, and I've got to talk into the microphone instead of talking to Paul. I believe you're here as well. Hi.
Please also give your opinions down below, because we're always interested in these kind of things, because these are our opinions. They're not we're not some kind of
they're not facts. That's for damn sure.
Well, it's more the fact is that we're not we're not a schoolhouse of film, or we're not the Oscar, we're not the Academy or anything. So
you've already been able to tell that from the dumb stuff I've been saying.
So,
and you know what? But to be fair, Paul, if we boiled it down again, and I hate to do this because all the crap I just said is around Best Picture.
I think I just convinced myself that you can't.
That I can't change your mind about Moonlight. even if you were saying best picture. Like, don't get me wrong, because that's what we're. If we were doing a different, if it was a different question, I would be like, you can absolutely convince me that Moonlight's a better film for this reason, or it's it's more entertaining, interesting, emotionally effectual. But is it all of those things and everything else? Is it best picture?
I'm so torn.
Should we go to? By the way, folks, should I break out the
rules for the two things?
The rules for the tiebreaker, folks. In all of our tournaments, there will always be tiebreakers predefined. And they will be chosen at random. There will always be at least two, so that we don't know which one we're going to get.
Yeah, we have a list of probably 4 or 5 kind of thing, and we'll choose. Both of us choose essentially one out of that kind of thing.
And in this case, we're probably going to have to pause and look up the answer once we pick this out of the hat. The tiebreakers are most Oscar nominations and wins for the film. Yeah. So whichever has the total of Oscar nominations and wins, as in if your win percentage is much higher.
Yeah, so essentially what we're doing is nominations is 1 point, and then wins of that nomination are 2 points. Yeah. Or like an extra 1 point.
Exactly.
Kind of thing, so.
And the other thing that we could end up getting out of the randomized hat is Golden Globe.
Yeah.
So we'll look at how the films did in the Golden Globes. If it won a Golden Globe, particularly if it won the Best Picture in its category, Golden Globe, then that's the winner. Yeah. So I think I thought I was going to be able to sway you. I can see a look in Paul's eyes that I've only ever seen around deciding about pizza. He knows what he wants.
No, see, I think I'm torn because you keep saying Best Picture, and I know from the filmmaker's perspective that there's just.
Well, there's plenty of people that disagree with me and say that Argo is not that well a made movie and Moonlight is better.
I do understand, as in like, see, this is the thing is, I do really like Moonlight, and there are really, 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 really good scenes that I think do beat Argo's consistency.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. But you keep saying Best Picture, and I'm like, if we're not basing it solely on the subject and the subtext kind
of things, which we definitely cannot.
No, I think
because Argo, there are other films.
I think Argo is executed a little bit better than Moonlight, and I think you've just tipped the scales to Argo.
Are you sure? Because I'm happy to go to, because you've convinced me enough that I'm happy enough to go to tiebreaker.
What I think we should do is I'm going to agree with you with Argo, but I would also like to see what would happen if we went to the tiebreaker.
Oh, someone wants to know what the scratch card has to offer before they buy the scratch card.
No,
I'm joking.
No, that's why I'm saying I'm completely going with Argo. As in you've convinced me enough that Argo wins out in the Best Picture category kind of thing,
Okay.
But I would like to see what would happen if it did go to...
All right. I get you. It's just I'm worried that if it ends up going Moonlight's way, I'll be like, actually, maybe I'm going to change my mind to Moonlight because I'm very close now. Before we started, I want to be very clear, before we started this, I was like, there's no way that Moonlight's going to win. But you have made me consider,
because it's going to be interesting for the next ones, because I think they're
going to be so much more difficult, which is doesn't what, this is going long and we have to edit these things, so we're going to hurry along and say Argo's the winner.
Yeah, no, I think Argo's. I do agree. Argo's tipped the scales. You've tipped the scales in the way of Argo.
All right, graphic, smash it on screen for us. Who's the winner? Argo. Boom. So yeah, I'm doing that because at some point I'm going to manage to edit that right, or one of us will. Actually, you, I hope, because I don't know if I can make that work. Now we have to quickly work out the who would have won the tiebreaker. Well, first, should we do that off and add it in? Yeah,
we'll do an extra part to it. No, as in like we're going to finish up here. Thanks for watching the Tourney. Yes. Next up is we've got 12 Years a Slave and
the King's Speech.
Yeah. So I think this went well. I think this first.
Yeah, and thanks for bearing with us. The rest of them will probably be shorter, tighter, faster, and maybe even clearer. But you know what? We're all learning together.
Well, I also think that this was an interesting kind of.
Yeah, it was a particularly difficult one in some ways. So cool. We're gonna have an extra bonus part after our logo. So if you wanna, will we do it that way?
Yeah, I guess so.
If you wanna stay with us, we're gonna work out on camera who would have won the tiebreaker.
Yeah. Hey, so welcome back. We had a look up of the Golden Globes and Oscars nominations and winners between Moonlight and Argo. So without further ado,
that was our categories. I think it's important to call this out that when we looked up Golden Globes, it was a tie.
Yes. So it was 2 winners and 3 nominations.
Yeah. So 2 wins and 3 nominations each, and pretty much almost in the same categories too. It was
there was I think
similar stuff.
I think there was only 1 category difference in the film.
Then the Oscars, which is where it becomes a little more awkward.
Yeah. So don't forget, it's 2 points for a win and 1 point for a nomination. So what was Argo's?
Argo scored 10, and remember, it's already won this round.
Yeah, no, it has already won the round.
And how many did Moonlight score, Paul?
It scored 11. So each of them got 3 wins. They won three Oscars, and then they were Argo was nominated for 4 categories, and Moonlight was nominated for 5.
Yeah, so it was 1 nomination of a difference. Importantly, just rewind the tape. You can see I did say to Paul, I was back in Argo, he was back in Moonlight. I did say, if you want to go to tiebreaker, we will. And if we had, Moonlight would be the winner right now. But because we have no way of redoing this at all in any way, this tape is irreversible. Argo goes through to the next round.
Yeah, we just have to live with it. I know it's an upsetting thing, but oh well.
You're taking it very, very well, I have to say.
So like, share, which goes subscribe. You know,
comment, please. We're getting some great comments. Thank you very much to all the people who've been commenting. I'm particularly enjoying replying to some of the comments that are really making me think. So, some of you, you're just changing the channel by making comments. You really are.
Yeah. So we like the discussion and stuff like that. So do comment. So thank you very much. We've been Hear Us Out.
I've been Patrick,
and I've been Paul.
See you for the next clash.
Tourney.